Hello everyone, Tim Vine here, and welcome once again to Board of Numbers. This is episode 4. If you've not listened to this before, and I suggest that I get a lot of people who listen to it once. If you haven't, you might like to know what it's all about. Well, I will be talking about every single segment on the dartboard, every single number. So we've talked about 1 in episode 1. We talked about the double 1, single 1, treble 1, and here we are. We've gone all the way through to number 4, and the idea is we go up to 21 being the bull. A couple of bits of housekeeping before we start on the number 4. Firstly, I made a little mistake in the third episode where, after talking about getting on my knees to throw for double 3, I then said after that, hitting double 3 or going for double 3 is a bit disrespectful. What I needed to clarify was going onto your knees and throwing for double 3 is a bit disrespectful if you do it during a match. But, I think that there's a little bit too much fussing about what is and isn't disrespectful in terms of what you do on the board. I mean, obviously, you don't want to put off an opponent, but if you want to throw on one leg with your arm in the air and one eye closed while blowing a raspberry, that ought to be up to you. If that's the way I don't know. I feel that I like seeing unusual stuff going on the oche in terms of throws and stuff. So that's the first thing. The second thing is that some people have said to me that the little bit of artwork that you can see there says with guests. And here we are, it's episode 4 and still not a guest in sight. But don't worry, folks, although the booking process hasn't been clarified yet, we have 21 episodes potentially to get through, so there's still time to book someone. Okay, so here we are, single 4. That took rather a long time, didn't it? We're almost 2 minutes in and I haven't mentioned anything about the 4. So the number 4 on the dartboard, a rather nice position for the 4, I think. A nice position to throw for it, but not a lot of uses for it. I've been thinking about this before I came on to this episode. I've been thinking about single 4. When would a pro throw for single 4 deliberately? And I can't get myself past 44. 44, you throw the 4 for tops. Can you? I mean, maybe you can discuss this in forums. F-O-U-R, forum, maybe in 4 rooms. Oh, they've got a show called Forums. Is that why it's called Forums? Because of forums, F-O-R-U-M-S. 4 rooms is called forum. That maybe I never spot these things. Anyhow, the point is, can you think of another situation where a pro will throw a single 4? That's my question. There it is. I've just opened it up there. I like to ask questions to the listeners. Other than 44. The 4, and you go for double top. I always think when you're playing a pub game, the other nice thing about that is if you drift into the 18, you're on 26, he said, trying to work out if that was right. I think so, 4. No, if you throw the 18 and 26, that's right, that's 44, yeah. And I've got a soft spot for double 13, even though it's not one I would regularly go to, because, of course, hitting a single 13 is not really much use to anybody. So there we are. It's a high... what have I put here? I've written down in my notes here, high-ish even number that you would already on a double. High-ish even number. Well, it is a high-ish even number, isn't it? 4, but it's not. I suppose what I was saying was you're either already on a double, in which case you're going for double 4, or you're on 44. I mean, if you're on 54, you wouldn't go for 4. You might if you're in a pub and were shouting out to everyone around, "Watch this!" and you threw 4 and then the bull. But by and large, it's 44 or nothing. 54, of course, you'd go either 14 double top or you go 18 double 18. Generally speaking, I mean, if you're trying to be clever, you might go double 13, double 14 if you want to, show off. But yeah, I would say that it is. And I've written the word unusual. I should have practiced some of these things. I wrote 54. You wouldn't go for it. Unusual. Yeah, no, exactly. It's unusual that you would do that. Anyway, I think other than 44, as I say, I can't think of another time when a pro would go for single 4. As I used to say, I invented Tip-X. Correct me if I'm wrong. On a side note, by the way, the number 4, of course, is an unlucky number in China. And that's if you're afraid of the number 4 and you have tetraphobia, I wonder whether that affects the way you play. 4, I've looked into this. 4 sounds like a bit like the Mandarin word death. And that's why it's an unlucky number in China. 14, incidentally, they don't like 14 either, because that 14 sounds like the phrase is dead. And these are serious matters that do affect people. in Singapore, a luxury car maker had to change the name of the Alfa Romeo 144 because that particular model, people were too scared to buy it. So this is all true. I suppose the person to talk to would be Singapore's greatest dart player and one of the legends of the game, Paul Lim, and I'm quite sure it has had no effects on him. He goes around the board. I haven't seen him avoiding the 4, that's for sure. Paul Lim, incidentally, he would be a marvellous guest to have on here. The first 9-darter thrown in a world championship. If you've not seen it, look it up. I think it's somewhere on YouTube to watch. And just, a trailblazer. The first ever, I always get the 2 9-darters, Paul Lim's 9-darter and John Lowe's mixed up slightly, but the first televised 9-darter was John Lowe, but the first one in the World Championships was Paul Lim, sometime after the John Lowe one. So let's have a look at double 4. And I only just the other night was, in fact, it might have been yesterday, I was watching the PDC World Championships, and someone was going for double 4, and the commentator, she said, of course, double 4 is a short trip to double 1. And I thought, that's very true, that. You can be on double 4 and feel like you're some way away from double 1, but you go single 4, single 2, and then you're in the madhouse. So double 4, I like it as a shot. It's a double. I feel like, it's nice and high. It's got a bit, you can see a bit more of it than the double 18 in a way. Although with the double 18, if you were to stray into double 4, the shot's still alive. With double 4, if you stray into double 13, you've killed it stone dead. And double 4 is also a special double for me because I was involved in comic relief Let's Play Darts, in which they got comedians paired up with professional dart players, and we went and had a competition at the lakeside. We did it for comic relief in 2015. And in 2016, we did it for Sport Relief, so it happened twice. And of course, you can imagine as a fan of darts to play at the lakeside, just to throw the dart and it makes a noise, boom, like the footstep of a T-Rex approaching in Jurassic Park. Even that's thrilling, I mean, where do you throw a dart? It makes that noise in a pub. It doesn't. But anyway, double 4, the first leg I ever played in the lakeside in 2015, I was paired up with the brilliant Daryl Fitton. And the first leg, I'll just tell you something about Daryl that was funny. It's embarrassing, actually, from my point of view. I saw him in the car park. I'd heard I'd been paired up with him, and I was very pleased. But I wasn't especially, I wasn't up to speed with my research. I saw him in the car park outside the hotel the night before, and I went, Darren! Of course, he didn't turn around. His name's Daryl. It was like that Dan moment in Partridge, I was going, Darren. Eventually, he turned around because he realised I was trying to shout to him. Anyway, his name's Daryl, not Darren. Anyway, Daryl Fitton, the loveliest guy. What a dart player, by the way. The loveliest guy. And in the first round match, it was me and Daryl against Ted Hankey and much missed Sean Locke. And we got to the double first, and I was on double 4. I had 3 darts in my hand, and I remember, I must look it up just to check I haven't misremembered this, but I remember hitting it with my first dart. I had 3 darts in hand, double 4, bang, and I did it. And at that time, I was throwing a bit like the Australian dart player Raymond Smith, where he sort of pulls his, not with his quality, I hasten to add, but you pull your arm back, and then from that position, a still position, it's all one movement forwards, as opposed to dart players that sort of aim and then they go back and forwards. Do you know what I mean? The back bit had been taken out of the equation. So I remember hitting double 4 like that, and I also remembered the words that Bob Anderson had said to me when I'd said to him, how do you throw a dart? Which pub players like myself will often ask these magicians who do it professionally, how do you do it? And Bob said a fascinating thing to me. He said, I often feel like I'm pulling them into the board. And I thought, that's fascinating. And I sort of knew what he meant. You're sort of pulling it in off the back of your thumb. You pull it in. Anyway, treble 4. Let's talk about treble 4. As I've said before in previous episodes, trebles 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6 are never aimed for deliberately in the professional game 501. So this means that I think we can all agree, shall we all agree now, that one of the candidates of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6 will be the least hit segment during the World Championships. And this is the moment, I thought, while we're talking about four, as four is one of those six, to ask you the question, which do you think will be the least hit segment in the World Championships? Let's assume that the smaller part of a single number will be hit a lot of times when the bull is missed, so it won't be that. I think we can agree, can we not? It'll be either treble 1, treble 2, treble 3, treble 4, treble 5 or treble 6. We know it's not going to be treble 1 because that's right next to the treble 20. We know it's not going to be treble 3 because that's right next to treble 19. So we're left with, and we know it's not going to be treble 5. So I think we're left with 2, 4 and 6. I think it's one of those three. And I think, because this is the episode about 4 is a big contender. I know 4 is next to the 18s, but you don't often see people miss treble 18 into the treble 4. I don't know. Maybe I'm thinking about this. As I'm thinking, I'm leaning back towards 6. Yeah, I think I'm gonna go with treble 6. Although I saw someone hit that the other day when they tried to go for treble 10. That was just a couple of days ago. It does feel like it's between treble 4 and treble 6. What do you think? There's a place to comment below. What do you think will be the least hit segment in the World Championships? Anyway, there we are. There's 4. It's a lovely number. And the other question, of course, I asked you is, can you think of another situation where a pro goes for a single 4 other than the finish 44? Because I can't. Thank you very much. That's Board of Darts. No, it's not. It's Board of Numbers. Board of Numbers. It's Board of Numbers. And that is the end of this episode.